Good afternoon and welcome to the final concurrent session of the day. Improve success and retention. Integrate math study skills into courses, co-requisites, and labs. Our presenter today is Dr. Paul Nolting, faculty member at State College of Florida. If you have any questions for the presenter during the session, please feel free to enter those into the Q&A section at the bottom of the Zoom room screen, and we will address them at the end of the talk. On that note, I'll hand it on over to our presenter.
Okay, we're clicking up things now. I think we got enough clicks. I always test this thing out ahead of time, then I always test it out again. And the first time I tested it out, I had an auditory problem, but it was fixed. So that's really good. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and talk about how to really improve the success of your students. I'd like to thank Hawks again for asking me to present. I've been doing this for many years and I never get tired. I never get tired of talking to people, never get tired of really talking to other campuses and finding out what they really like, what they really want to do, and basically getting a bunch of information from all other people. So what we're looking at now is what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? So what we're going to look at first is what was your motivation to start teaching math study skills? This was interesting because what I found out is a lot of my students basically had good instructors, did their homework, were very successful on the quizzes, didn't fail. Well, they basically failed their tests. And when I started looking at them, I'm trying to look at the variables that predict that. And it wasn't the instruction, it wasn't the placement, it was something else. So I actually did my dissertation way back in the 80s. And I took students who failed math, that was mainly elementary algebra, 2 to 3 to 4 times, and that was my control group. So the idea here is there's another variable here. I thought study skills was it. When I did my dissertation, it was a success. And what we found out is that we can really help a lot of students with math study skills. I also did research on general study skills, and that wasn't as successful. So what we're looking at now is this reasons why I did it, and it's not that's me anymore. What's happening now is like for 15 years or so, I preached that this will work. Now it's not, does it work? Because people say, yeah, it does. How do we get it in the curriculum? But when we get into other things, we're also finding out that the placement tests are pretty much gone now. In California, it's against the law to give a placement test. So you don't know what you have. In a lot of other states, what they're doing is they're not eliminating developmental education. Everybody thinks Florida eliminated it. No, they didn't. They just didn't make it required anymore. So most people don't take it. This is another one. I was interviewed by the Chronicle of Higher Ed, and they were asking about COVID. They're asking about math. And I basically said, people now have what we call a Swiss cheese background. What's happening is we don't know what they have. We don't know what they know, what they don't know. So what we're going to find out is if they don't know a lot of things, they're not even in the curriculum we're teaching. We need to teach them how to learn better and how to be more successful. So a lot of the study skills here is more of a motivational idea, and I'll get to that in a few minutes, but it's also teaching them how to learn. And when I started doing co-rec classes, and I did a lot of research on that, did a lot of training on co-recs, what we're finding out that in some states, they'll put 3 courses together. I remember working with a college in California, and they never mentioned college names or university names, but their STEM program for co-req started in pre-calc, not college algebra like most of us. So they were saying, what the heck can we do? What are we doing with all these students? Some of them shouldn't even be here. What's happening? And I go, well, you're going to have to assess them, which we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But what you also have to do is teach them to become better learners very quickly. So that's it. So when we start looking at the co-reqs, that's another thing. When we start looking at disabilities, and that's becoming more popular, the most current research now is about 20% of your students in your classes have disabilities. Before is, do I have a student with a disability? Now is how many do I have? And I've worked with a lot of those students, and I've actually helped them improve their math success and move on with study skills and appropriate accommodations. The next thing here is when I went around the country and started talking about this, they said, we're missing something. That was the instructors. They said, look, we're doing a good job, but the students, they just don't know how to learn. I go, you're right. They don't. They learn how to do well on multiple choice tests, English, but usually math and STEM, we haven't really taught them that. And as I talked about earlier, this is a different type of study and different type of design that makes you more successful. And the research, basically now, like I said earlier, it's not, do I try to convince you that the non-cognitive characteristics work? No, they work. It's just really, how do we put them in? What do we do with them? Where are we going from there? And this research has changed now. And there's a lot of other variables coming in. What we're looking at now, and this is the old Bloom circle that people see all the time and talk about. And before it was like 50% cognitive entry skills and prerequisite learning, 25% affective or non-cognitive, and then 25% quality of instruction. Current research has changed that. They're looking at the non-cognitive academic skills now is up to 41% of the grade. In other words, it's easier. And when I go and work with other colleges, I can tell you, I tell them up front, it's easier for us to make the students better learners than make the instructors better instructors because they're already good. You're already good. And they go, oh, come on and help these instructors get better. I said, well, they're already probably at 90% efficiency. So I bump them up 5. But the students here are about 50% efficiency. I can jump them up 25%, and that makes a difference in the grades. So if you start doing this research and start looking at this whole area, the whole thing now kind of blossoms out. And a good friend of mine, Julie Phelps, has done a lot of research on self-efficacy. And that's, do you believe you can be successful in math? Coleman basically looked at the self-directed learning. That's another one. My wife did some research on that in Kuwait, of all places. And the idea is make the student better learner. We need to be a team, and we can do this. And I can help these students become more successful. And I can help instructors teach that right in the classroom. And as we work together as a team, success goes up. So now I'm preaching. So I'm going to move on, okay? You can get that. Study systems, overview. I'm not going to go through all this. But what we're looking at now is, what is the best way to study and learn math? Well, what I'm working with is a lot of instructors that are excellent in abstract reasoning. In fact, at my college, I actually tested some of them. And then they told other people because it was fun tests, it was logic tests. And hey, if you have 130 IQ in abstract reasoning, I can say, well, I'll say it. Some of the instructors didn't need to go to class. They could read the book and get it. But that's not our students now. So what we have to do is look at different ways to make them learn better and encourage them. And we're going to get into the note-taking system, reworking notes, textbooks, if you ever, learning how to do it online, and looking at time management, which most people don't ever want to do. But one thing you may want to do if you're working with students and they come see you, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes too. I asked them, well, how much time do you spend on doing homework? Oh, I got it all right. I just click and go and got it all right. Well, how much? So what did you do after that? And the answer is, after it, no, I got the homework right. I'm ready for the test. I said, well, you just made another D. They go, oh. I said, yeah, so we got to figure out something else to do. But some of these things you can look at in review notes, lectures, anxiety issues, test analysis, you got it, right? The feedback, and that's part of self-efficacy, the feedback and self-regulated learning is given the feedback so they can change their behavior. So I'm kind of hitting that one pretty hard. We'll go on here. How's learning math different? Oh, this is a real good one. And if I was with you in the room and some of you probably saw me, I'm going to say, what is the major difference in learning math than high school? What is the major difference? And some of you, if you want to put it in the Q&A, do you get the answer right? And there's several different reasons, but some of this stuff really is, for us, we don't get it. But what we're looking at is the idea that students have to learn math 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 times as fast in college. If you're co-requisites, you're at the speed of light sometimes. So the idea is we got to talk about this with your students. You got to collaborate with them. You got to work with them, discuss the concept. And then the motivational issue comes in. I don't like math. I don't want to be in math. Whoa, if I had $1 for every one of those, I could be in the Cayman Islands right now, okay? But I used to preach, math is great, it's good for you, and I still do that. But what I found out is that if I go on into it too hard in that area, they don't come see me. So now I just ask one question, how much money you want to make? And they look at me like, what? I say, well, how much money you want to make? You're in college to have fun and make money, right? And most people say, yeah, I do. Well, how much really do you want to make? So more or less, what we're looking at here is I did these graphs and I'll give them to anybody. And I have people at other colleges I visited, they make them to posters and put them on the walls. So what's happening here is I can talk about math, but all I got to say is, look at the graph. The one to the left is Associate of Arts degree, okay? The one to the right basically is a bachelorette degree. The one to the right is pretty well linear. And they go, what do you mean linear? I go, well, look at it. What do you see here? And they go, oh, the more math I take, the more money I make. I go, yeah, that's it. Oh, I don't want to take any more math. Well, then you're not going to make that much money. But I want to make money. Now you get into a cognitive dissonance right now. And I just said, well, look, this is what you want. This is what you can do. And there's only one exception. Of course, it is math instructors. We don't make that much money. That's everything. But students can, and they finally look at it and go, oh, do I have to like math to pass it? I go, no, I want you to, but you don't have to like it. You just got to pass it and get the best math grade you can and go as far as you can in math so you can choose the career you want to make the most money and have the most enjoyment. They go, well, nobody's ever talked about it that way. They just say learn it. I go, well, no, I'm not nobody. I'm somebody else. So here we go. And we look at this one. How is math learning, kind of like different? And we already talked about this. And this is a discussion you need to have with your students. We used to not talk about this, but hey, and we talked about this already. Math is more difficult for most people. Why? Is it abstract reasoning? Most of us live off our verbal ability and our verbal reasoning, not our abstract, okay? We live off that. But in math, you got to live off abstract. That's why I have some instructors that are my friends that are way above my abstract reasoning. And they tell me confessions that I didn't go to class and I didn't do the work. And I go, okay, well, what happened? Well, I got straight A's. I said, you're good. But the thing is, they're not like us. And I've done some workshops on that one. They're not like us. And we have to let them know math requires more sequential learning. It's not a side class where you can fail the first test, fail the second test, and make a couple A's and get through that. And that's not it. Math has more anxiety and the self-efficacy. This is what we talk about. Math, you must demonstrate the knowledge. And multiple choice, you don't. What do? You put C, right? Yeah, and I tell them, you can't put C on my test. That doesn't work, Self-directed learning, that's a big thing now it's going through is self-directed. I got to figure out what I can do, or self-regulated means I got to check myself and see what's going on. I studied for this amount of time and I got a D. Well, I want a B. Well, you're gonna have to change. That sort of thing, and become more efficiency. Math is a foreign language. And here's the one that kills me. Math is socially acceptable to fail. Boy, that just irks me. But it is. People brag about, yeah, I failed math. They don't brag about that I failed history or English, And here's the next one. And this is one you can talk to your students about. And I talk to many people about this one. Just cannot only do homework, must study. Oh, what does that mean? That means that after you finish doing your online homework, that's good. You got good short-term memory, you got it there. That's great. The next question is, how did you do on your test? And I have students come to me and said, well, I did all the homework, went to all the class, and my previous teachers told me if I did that, I should pass. I should be making A's and B's. And I said, did I say that? He said, well, no, you didn't. I said, no, because again, you just made a D. So what did you prepare for the test? And their answer is, what do you think? Answer is nothing. I got all the homework right. So we got to get out of that. That may have worked for us many years ago because I did it by hand, no computers, that sort of thing. We got to tell them you got to study too. You got to review it. You're not going to go up there and do your lines on the play without reviewing them. That's what you're doing for math. Okay, I hit that one too hard too. But this is really gets me. We got to tell them, and we got to teach them a different way to do that. Yeah, what's happening with the placement? What's happening with developmental ed? That's pretty neat. You know, what do we have to do now with all these fast courses? And I mentioned some of these already. Self-regulated learning. You know, and here we go again. How many of your students had told you at midterm or talked to you and said, I didn't know I was failing? And I go, well, you know, I mean, you got all F's on your test. Well, I didn't know I was failing. So the self-regulated learning again, hey, they have to assess themselves. How much did I study? How what did I study? And do I need to change? We do that as professionals. And an Excel sheet, hey, require it. I want an Excel sheet with all your test scores, all your grades. I want everything. And what I've done before is toward the final exam, I said, okay, what do you want to make? You want to make an A in the final, B in the final? Okay, what do you want to make for the course? An A for the course, a B for the course, a C for the course? What do you want? Well, what type of grade do you need for your final? And they go, what do you mean? I said, that's the math formula. They go, can we figure that out? I go, yeah, here it is. You want to make an A, you got to make 110 on the final. They go, what do you mean 110? Yeah, well, arithmetically, that's what it is. Well, I can't make 110. Oh, that's right, you can't. So you probably get a B. That's what you do. And you teach the math study skills, co-requisites, more directed learning. I'm hitting these things again, and I'm being redundant, but I want you to understand that we have to be a team approach. We got to teach them these skills, and we're good instructors. You know, the self-efficacy again, you know, I can be successful. The mindfulness, oh boy, mindfulness. You know, here's what happens with mindfulness with most students, and there's other presentations about this. I have students that are stuck in the past. They remember they failed their third grade math test, made fun of, had to go to the board. Guys couldn't go for recess, you know, that sort of thing. They still have that. It's still there, you know? So the idea is we got to get them out of that and get them to something else so they can see this. So the mindfulness thing is, don't think about the past. That depresses you. Don't think about the future. You get more anxiety. Oh, I got to make 105. Think about now. What can you do right now? And that's a big deal. Mindfulness. What can you do right now? Do you need to go tutoring? Do you need to go do some more problems? Do you need to rework your notes? You know, and the tutoring, I've done so much tutor training. Now I'm training the tutorees. I'm training them how to be good tutoree, because most students don't know how. They go, the tutor did all the work for me. I go, okay, then what did you learn? Well, I learned what they learned, but what did you learn for the test? I didn't remember it. Yeah, the whole thing about the tutoring is simple. Whoever has the pencil and writing is doing the learning. That's an OSI thing, you know, and instructors with positive feedback. I mean, that's another thing. And I'm giving you hints as we go, and we're getting, you know, pretty good. I was at one college and they had a whole panel up of students who had anxiety. And the instructors are asking the question, and, you know, I asked a few questions, and I said, what really makes you more anxious? Is it before the test, during the test, or after the test? Now, just remember what I just said, before the test, during the test, or after the test, because that's the three areas. And a couple of them said it's after the test. I go, what does it really mean? Well, I get my paper and it has all these red marks and I just freak out. I don't do it. So what do the red marks remind you of? Oh, my elementary school teacher. I go, okay. What should we do? What other color should we use? I guess red triggers a response, right? Green and blue. That's what they said. Green and blue. I said, okay. That gives us an idea. This green and blue. That's the right thing. Co-requisites, identifying students struggling math. Oh boy. Co-requisites are here. I actually been to some states and other areas where they're not there yet. They're not there yet. But when we start looking at the co-requisites and what do we need to do, here's what it is. With the co-requisite courses, and some of you already teach them, some of you know a lot about them. And the fastest thing we got to do is figure out what they don't know. What they don't know in math. And Hawks has a good system. It aggregates the information if they take a test to figure out that I'm teaching a co-requisite with intermediate algebra and with college algebra, and they all, 80% of them can't solve dual equations. Well, that gives me good information. So that's one thing we got to figure out. What are the most common areas they don't know? So we can do that in the co-rec labs or even in the course itself. And that's great because I don't want to teach them stuff they already know. That's a waste of time. The next one is the math study skills evaluation. And boy, that's good. The math study skills evaluation, which we'll look at in a minute, has no math on it. No math on it. No math on it. I said it 3 times. I have to tell my students 3 times. No math, no math, no math. Because they see math. Oh, test questions. Oh, I can't do this. This awful. No. It's this. How do you study? And what happens when we give it to them, and it's actually in the program itself, I want them to fail. And now some of you are going, yep. Some of you are going, what the heck is this guy telling? What, he wasn't to fail? You betcha I want you to fail a math study skills evaluation. I don't want you to fail the test. Because failing's good. And the students, when I do this, and I do it at other training sessions, everybody goes, what? Well, look, if you have poor math study skills and you got a DF average, I can pretty much identify part of your problem. We didn't teach you how to learn. And we didn't teach you how to learn math. We didn't teach you how to correct after your tests. In other words, you make the same systematic errors over again. So the idea is good. So when we look at these subtests of study effectively, memory learning, that sort of thing, classroom learning and test anxiety, if you're not doing well, then we can fix this. I can make you a better learner, period. And that's true. We can all make them better learners. In fact, you don't need to be a math instructor to make them better learners. That's all true, because we can give you the chapters, give you the page numbers, we can do mini lectures, and basically we can help them become better learners. And once they become better learners, their grades go up. And that's what we're talking about, is how to get that. And then the self-efficacy goes up, then the motivation goes up, and the anxiety usually comes down some. Sometimes it doesn't. And that's a whole different area too. When you start looking at studies as evaluation, it's basically these different areas. And I don't need to go through them, but it tells them specifically what they need to do and learn. And you can pick out some of them. And I have some people who actually do this and aggregate that. And you go, okay, all problem with anxiety, that sort of thing. And, you know, and what I do with these, whatever I have the lowest score is the one they work on first. And most of the time it's test anxiety and test taking, but sometimes it's memory and learning. So this is just a way. It's a way to motivate them, because you got to remember, most of them think they don't have the math gene. Okay, and they just don't have the ability to do math. And that is some students, and that could be true, you know, but most students it's not. But if they think that, then I'm not going to change. Why should I change? I can't change my synapse in my brain. Oh, it's not my synapse. It's the learning, and it's not my fault. It's basically my fault. I didn't teach you. Oh, okay, I can do that. That's what we just went into. That sort of thing. And here are some multiple choice questions. Again, to show you, it's basically not math. It's the study behaviors that are associated with math that I use with my dissertation and throughout, you know, time and talking to students and see what they're doing. And what we can do is point out things they can change immediately. And that really helps them out. That really helps them out. Okay. Anxiety. and test anxiety affect classroom learning? Oh boy. Anxiety is going up for both instructors and students and tutors and administrators. The last time I got a call from California and said, come on out. We have to have you work on some test anxiety. I said, yeah, I'll work with the students. Oh, no, it's not the students, it's just the faculty. We started all these co-recs and everybody's been stuffed in the classes and they're freaking out. I said, okay, well, I can do faculty and help with the co-recs and help you redesign if you want that. And I will not do it because I've been to several colleges and they kept on saying, what do you think, Nolting? What do you think, Nolting? And of course I said, what do you think? What do you think? The only thing I really told them is that you don't need intermediate algebra for statistics. And some people said, I did. How we do? I said, well, show me where. Where are dual equations? Where is it? Where is it? It's not there. Okay, is this not there? And they go, oh, we wanted them to take intermediate algebra so they become a better student. And I'm going, no, I got a better way than that. We'll teach them math study skills and learning strategies. We'll teach them how to become a better tutoree. I don't need to put them in a math class. I need to teach them strategies. So anyway, how does anxiety affect and how does it work? Well, this is where we go. Both instructors and students comment it's difficult going back to classes now. I got really comfortable with virtual. And some faculty did, some students did because they just zone out. I didn't say they passed, they got comfortable, So the idea and the range of skills, that is something that we got to work on. And now I'll probably jump ahead a minute and talk about the range of skills because you don't know what you have. If you have a co-requisite class that's college algebra, intermediate, and nothing is below that, you don't know. And I did so much research on this a long time ago on pre-algebra, elementary algebra, intermediate, college algebra, on repeaters. And it's still true. The more times you take an algebra class, the less chance you have to pass it. Let me say that again. The more times you take an algebra class, the less chance you have to pass it. So the idea here is you should be doing your own research and figure out who is not doing well. And the same with your co-recs, who's not doing well. But we're back on anxiety now, okay? Anxiety. Research, and I can send this to Hawks, a lot of articles on that. One article is that math anxiety is killing STEM programs around the world, not just in the United States. In fact, we weren't worse. We weren't the worst ones. We always think we are, we're not. They have problems in China, Korea, that sort of thing. So the anxiety basically lowers your ability to learn information in the classroom. It kills your working memory while you're taking the test. And then if you have a lot of anxiety, you basically avoid class. I had one student, and I'll tell you, she threw up before every class. And you're going, oh, it's a developmental student. No, it's a Calc 1 student. And we decided that was a good idea. So she started working with me and my team. She didn't pass. I hate to say that, didn't pass, but at least I got her through some things and we worked on it the next time and she did better. So all these are things that really do. And you need to discuss this in your class. You really do. And most math faculty, like I never had math anxiety. I think only the first anxiety hit me, well, two things hit me. One, writing papers in class. That freaked me out, okay? Because I'm not a good writer. I had to memorize everything. And the other thing freaking me out was comps from a dissertation. But we got to remember, they're not like us. They have issues and have anxiety issues. And what we want to do is talk to them about it and help them understand that, yes, this is a behavior. And then I have the approach avoidance behavior. I want to do homework. Oh, I'm getting anxious, I'll leave. I want to do homework. I'm getting anxious, I leave. And I actually go through that routine. And they go, well, I'm going to leave for a while. And I feel a lot better. Oh, so I just reinforced you for not doing your math homework or reinforced you for not doing your studying. And they're going, oh, that's what's going on. I go, yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah. Fear of asking questions in class. I have worked with students that told me if an instructor ever asked them a question directly in class, they'll walk out and withdraw from the class, period, and not come back to college. And instead of me saying, what's going on? I said, okay, tell me what's going on. beside that? Well, I remember anxiety, flashbacks, all this kind of stuff. I said, okay, I'll make a deal. I'll call your instructor. I'll ask her not to ask you any questions in class, unless you raise your hand. Student stayed, got a B. So these are different things we got to look at. And this fear of asking questions, and co-requisites, working memory, blanking out during tests. Boy, I had so many people do that. And they come back and then they tell me the answer and I go, and then first I didn't believe them. So I gave them a few problems that were similar and they got the same problems right. I go, yep, I guess so. Okay, so the anxiety thing. And then if you really want to get into this, you can actually teach anxiety reduction techniques. Now we get about 5 minutes or 10 minutes left for questions. Let me know, okay? Because sometimes I rattle on and then I'm going, oh, where are we? But you don't need to be a psychotherapist to do this. These are common. And if you've seen me before and talked about it, I have in the internet math text, hey, this can work. Practice relaxation techniques right now. Tensing and relaxing right now. If I'm going to do that, feet flat on the floor, hands underneath my chair, you can do this. Tense up, relax. Tense up, relax. Tense up, relax. I actually have them do it in the classroom. And the reason I'm doing that is so that when it comes test time, that a few people do it, they don't look weird because we already did it. So the tense and relaxing method works, but you got to practice ahead of time. Deep breathing, you've heard this for years. Inhale through your mouth, inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. You don't go, you don't hyperventilate, the old trick there, you got to give them a bag so they get the carbon dioxide back in their system. But the idea is you practice that. You don't have to be a psychotherapist. Deep breathing, visualization. Oh my goodness. Where's your happy place? I thought that was a bunch of bull. It's not. Because I've asked this question to thousands of math instructors and students. They all have one. But I learned one thing. Don't ask them where it is. Don't ask them what they're doing. That's not good. Because a couple of them got kind of weird. But anyway, I'll let you think about that one. But the visualization, the palming technique. If I do this and put my head in the desk, nobody's going to talk to me, and that's good. I'm just preparing, getting ready for a test, and I'm starting doing, just relaxing myself, and I'm thinking about something we'll get to in a few minutes. These are good ones. Yeah. And the self-talk. What should they be telling themselves? What should they be saying? And ask them what they say to themselves. I missed 3 questions in a row. I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm gone. You go, no, we're not going to do that. You're going to say, oh, 3 questions in a row? Don't worry. Next self-question I'll get right. That's what you do. And you get them to think and say positive things. I will do well. I can do as well as I can. I don't have them say they're going to make an A unless they've been making A's, because I have some students who got good number sense. They figure out 20 questions. I just missed 3. I ain't getting an A. I'm quitting. And that's true. They just walk out. So I'll just say, look, just do that. And you can manage it. You can talk to the instructors, and you should ask them to come talk to you, or you can meet them somewhere else. That works good. And I tell students, prepare questions and just come up. And one of my good friends did this. He just tell the students, if they came in right before class, just to write the questions on the board and have other students answer it before you walk in the door. That's great. Then, of course, we talked about mindfulness, that sort of thing too, and the relaxation techniques. But this all does work. And then you'll have more serious ones. You have a counselor come in there and talk to them, but you got to get the heck out of the room, because they're not going to raise their hand and say, I got anxiety while you there, Then I tell the counselor to finish 5 minutes early. And so I lost 50 minutes. Well, if I get a bunch of people reducing their anxiety, that's worth it, because they don't want to tell anybody in front of the counselor, but they'll go up there and grab a card real quick. These are techniques. This is how you cope and get them to do so well. Co-requisites, expanding. No, they're here, they're there, they're everywhere. Been a lot of research on this. You've probably done some co-requisites, and whoa, some of them work really well. Some of them don't. Okay, that's just what I found out, and that's what the research shows. And if you're into this model now with co-requisites, and we already talked about the college algebra, intermediate algebra one. I have people co-reqs with a finite math and something. Well, that's fine. Statistics and something, yeah, those are not that bad because you don't need that much algebra for some of these courses. I want you to learn as much algebra as you can, but in reality, I'd rather you take a stat course and pass than keep beating your head to death with a college algebra class, because you'll probably graduate. It won't be in STEM, but could be in psych, that sort of thing. But anyway, here's what we're finding out. Okay. The whole idea of a 3-hour class with a 1 or 2 hour computer lab, go do that. Failure. Just failure, period. Doesn't work, except for the good students who may not need you anyway. You got that? The good students who do well. Your B students will get a C. Your C students will fail, that sort of thing. No, they need help because remember, they're learning stuff they hadn't known or forgot. So that doesn't work. The 3-hour course, embedded tutors, 2-hour lab with remediation, with tutoring, just-in-time learning, math study skills, and guess what? Graded. Some people go, well, we have the 2-hour co-rec and we just kind of have them do all this stuff and do their homework and on the computer system. And so do you give them a test? Do you grade them? Oh, no, we don't. Well, how many don't show? They go, how do you know that? Well, it ain't a grade, I ain't going. Now, my internal students with self-efficacy will go no matter what, but you got to grade it. You got to grade that. Then the controversy is basically, how do you integrate the grade from the co-rec with the classroom? That is a whole different thing. And it has to be graded. It has to be worth something. And what you have to do is do that assessment, like I just talked about. It's right up there and figure out what they don't know. And you do group lectures. Or you break out in small groups, like we used to do in the virtual days, that sort of thing. So the thing works. So basically, what you want to do is do the assessments and the study skills. I keep hitting that again, because I guarantee you, and I'll get to this in a minute, what's going to happen to the low-level student. We already talked about the Hawks learning assessments and aggregating the data, which is so good. Now, when I worked with California and Texas and other places in Florida too, they come to me and kind of on the side during the break. What do we do with those students that, my goodness, they're in the co-requisite course, and I gave them some elementary algebra and even pre-algebra. They can't do it. I go, yeah, how about that? And they look at me again. I go, what do you mean? I said, yeah, that's what you have. That's how the system's set up. Now, I also know statistical analysis. You take 3 math courses that have 50% pass rate. You have 100 students. What do you got? 12, 13, that's it. That's why they went to the co-recs. So the idea is you got to have a backup plan. And I did this in California a lot. And the learning resource centers really enjoy this. They really do. Because what happens is, and if some of you have done learning resource centers, and I can't have you raise your hand because we're not in that system right now, or in the tutoring centers. What happens the first 3 weeks of class in the learning resource centers? The answer is basically nothing. But who are the students who are there? Are those students of the D's and the F's that need help? No, it's the A students and the B students. So what happens is that first 3 weeks or 4 weeks, they're bored. So I said, look, we're going to do an assessment. This is a couple of the colleges in California. We're going to do assessment the first day or second day of class. We're going to figure out if they're below our level. So where do you want to start if you're doing a co-rec and intermediate? Where you're starting, are you going to do some going back and do a little bit of developmental math, elementary algebra, basic algebra, or whatever, wherever you are, whatever they're below that, we got to get them over the learning resource center now. And the instructors go, well, I don't know. I said, well, you better figure that out and figure out who they are, because when it comes time, you figure out your pass rates. And I'll be honest with you, I have instructors talking about this on the side. Got that? Pass rates. I said, I want to know what students are in there who basically, no matter what I did, they're not going to pass because they're still solving linear equations. So the idea is get it set up where they go over there, get some help on computers and get some help direct with the students, some diagnostic, but this is not computers itself, because maybe they can catch up enough in the next first 3 weeks before that first major test or second major test and get through that. That is a good idea. And then the next question is, what happens Midterm, they got 43 average. They're going to pass? No, they're not. You know, what do they usually do? Well, I used to just stay in the classroom. Well, they don't. You know, they don't. They withdraw. They leave. So set up a system where, hey, we'll make a deal. Let's get you a learning resource center. Get you some help over there. You may even sit in some of my other lower level math classes or whatever it is, and get some help and build up their skills and their study skills. So when they come back and take that co-req again, they're starting off and passing that first test. That first test is it. And you all know that first test, except for stats and except for liberal arts and topics and math. So anyway, enough of that. But you're getting that. You're getting the idea of the coordination. When you're in math, hey, this is what we have. Note-taking systems, we talked about. Homework, online systems, we talked about that. We'll show some more. Reading the textbooks, I don't know if people ever do that. They should. I tell them they should. We practice in the classroom. Oh, wait a minute, we practice in the classroom? Yeah, I was down at Miami-Dade and they said, students don't read the textbooks. And I say, well, do you ever bring the textbook to class? This is the instructors. They go, no. Do you ever show the students how they read the textbook? No. Did you ever actually show them where the problems are? No. Well, then they're not going to do it. Except for your A and B students, they said, well, we already know how to do it. I go, yeah, you do, but fake it. Tell them that you don't. Look in the book, do something, demonstrate. If they see you doing it, hey, more likely they'll do it. So that's where we can get in that area too. When we're looking at the technology and notes, and I'll speed it up a little bit. Hey, technology is everywhere. You're going to be recorded if you know it or not. All I got to do is turn my recorder on. And it's not even my recorder, it's my cell phone. Period. So you might as well just talk about it. And I have instructors that say, take pictures now. And they go, the students go, what do you mean? I said, this is where most students make a mistake. This is where it is. So take a picture. And I actually, you know, instructors stop, have the students take pictures, record it. Smart phones, you got all that, you know, tutoring. We already talked about that a little bit. Well, Sana said, talk to your disability office about that one. Sana said it's unreal. Okay, post Zoom lectures, all this kind of things. And this is how you set it up. You set it up where you got keywords of vocabulary. Remember, math is vocabulary, examples, and then discussion. Most students, when I look at their notes, and this is the trick. One day, hey, you know, halfway through class, say, we're going to take a little break. I'm going to walk around and look at everybody's notes, but don't tell them ahead of time. And all you'll see is that middle column for most people. I want that vocabulary. I want the reasons. And we actually demonstrate this in some classes and they get it. And then we don't need it. We scaffold it in, scaffold it out. Now, the next one, I'm back to the homework. Same thing with homework. The question is, how many times can you click? And you don't know it. It's 2. If you click twice, you probably don't know it. So now you got to write down this information. See what I'm doing? I'm writing down the keywords. I'm writing down the examples. I'm writing down the explanations. That's what you review. That's what you review for your tests. And the students go, oh, so that's what happened. Go, yeah, you got good short-term memory. Problem is, we're not going to test you right after you do your homework. And guess what? The test doesn't have a help button. They go, oh, I got to know it. I go, yeah, you do. So this is how you do it. You process it, review this. And this is a big kicker too for some people in this one area. And the other one over here is more like a learning styles inventory. Reading a textbook, we got to show them that. We already talked about that. And we'll go through this and that. And then repeating students. Here we go. Repeating students. They should have a success plan. They should have a plan. What are you going to do? How much are you going to study? You're going to take the math study skills evaluation. You come to tutoring. You come see me. Make a plan. Make a plan. And some colleges have set up where they have separate courses, and we did this at my college a long time ago, for only repeaters and students with disabilities. Boy, that is dumb, isn't it? That's what everybody thought until they had higher grades than anybody else. And the camaraderie was unreal. They helped each other. Okay, I get choked up sometimes doing this because I think about all the people we helped. Now, take a test. Oh my goodness. Some of you've already heard this before, seen this before, then we'll get ready for some questions and I can talk more and more and more. But talk to the students and say, how do you take a multiple choice test? They'll tell you immediately how they do it. Well, how do you take your math test? They go, oh, Well, I take it like the multiple choice tests. What grade did you make? I made a C. Well, in class and your homework and you're talking, you know more than a C worth. So what happened? Well, I got nervous. I didn't know what to do. I got stuck. I panicked. I don't know what's going on. I said, did you make a test plan? Did you make a plan of what you're going to do a test? This is like a plan of anything else. I go, well, no. We're doing it. We're doing it right now. We're going to go through the 10 steps. And I'm going to have you make a plan. You're going to do it as a homework, and you're going to give it to me. And I don't care about 10 steps. I want 5. So what do? Memory data dump. Hey, what's that? If we go, what do you mean by that? I go, well, what do you think you're going to forget? Oh, those formulas. I can't do this one. I can't do that. I can't do this factoring. Okay, well, we'll write it down before you even put your name on the paper. And they go, well, they think I'm cheating. No, just take the piece of paper. That's a blank piece of paper, basically. And like this, and this wave and goes blank, it's blank, it's blank. Here. As soon as they start handing out the test, you write down that stuff. What I'll write down? Well, have you ever made a cheat sheet before? And I get in trouble with this one though. And it kills me. I have at least 2/3 of the class raise their hand and say, yes, we did it in high school. I said, well, I'm not proud of you doing that, but what would you put on the cheat sheet? Oh, I know what to do. Well, good. The last 5 minutes of class, sometimes is chaotic. So we're going to talk to each other and make up cheat sheets. And they go, oh, really? I go, yeah, but you can't use them on the test. I just want to see how you're going to make them up. I did that one time, well, several times. And I stood in for a math instructor for preparing for finals, which was tough. It was a pre-algebra one. And I had them all do that. And they all put it on the board. They all wrote it down. And then they said, Dr. Nolting, we want all that. I said, okay, I'll copy it, give it to you. They did a lot better because they put down what they didn't know. And then you preview the test, second memory data dump, that sort of thing. Test progress, how many questions? You got about a minute, answer easy questions first. And I usually do is to preview the test. I go through and tell them, mark which ones are the easiest ones they can do immediately. 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. We just do all those and just do them. Because I want them to do the first 5 or 6 or 7 problems and get them right. Hey, what a way to reduce anxiety. What a way to improve motivation. And if you freak out in the rest of the test and get them wrong, you probably got them wrong anyway. So, and this last couple of ones is review all the tests. Students leave, just talk about it. Think about it. The last 5 minutes or 8 minutes of class, how many students did you have? What, 3, 5? And the rest of them who all left made A's and B's, right? No. So I bring that up and I tell them, hey, look. And they go, look, I'm not going to be that last person to hand on that test. That means I'm not smart. I go, well, I hate to tell you this, the last classes I've been working with, the people who turned the test paper in last, I had a bunch of A's and B's. I did have a few D's and F's, but a bunch of A's and B's. They caught their careless errors. And then the idea is, oh, I can. Yeah, just relax yourself, stay in there and check it. Check it. Hey, multiple choice tests. First guess is your best guess and don't change your first guess. Math test, check it. That's one of the few things besides maybe physics and chemistry that you can actually figure out your grade before you even leave. If you go to the test questions and see what you're doing. And then, of course, turn in your scratch paper, use all the test time, and guess. And they go, what do you mean guess? What's the probability to guess? 1 over infinity. I got the hint. You're on. So the idea is you got to put something down. You just got to put something down. So we should begin to the collaboration with students. We'll skip that.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. We
Sure.
are at time and we do have a couple of questions.
Oh,
Would you
good
like
deal.
to jump to the questions?
Mhm.
Perfect. So
Sure.
the first question is, what's the name of the researcher you mentioned who has done a lot of research on self-efficacy?
It was Julie Phelps.
Perfect. And how does Hawks help you figure out what they don't know? You said this on the co-requisite slide.
Yeah, what happens is, what it has is tests that they all get on the computer, they all do the test, and then you can aggregate it. You can look at it and say, how many people missed question 1? How many people missed question 2 and 3 and 4 and 5? then you basically see that and you go, okay, then they don't know whatever that question is asking, then they really don't know that. And let's see, I'm going to do one more, keep going on that one because I got one more thing I had to say. Go ahead. I got one last comment. But I'll take the questions too.
Someone wants to get the copy of the PowerPoint. Would you be able to share your information so that they can reach out for your PowerPoint? And there's one more comment question. I'm considering having every student enroll in my intermediate algebra class, enrolling in the co-requisite with the option to eventually waive required attendance for those who maintain success as the course progresses. If they dip back below the benchmark, they must return. Have you had experience with a plan like this? And if so, was it successful?
No. But what you've done is you reinforce the students to come, and I got that. But math is linear. If it was psychology, I wouldn't care. In fact, a lot of psych instructors I knew, only like half the class took the final because they could drop their lowest grade. The idea is we don't want them to drop back and then try to build up. Now, I understand it. Now, the question is if it's working for you. Now, I'm going to say one more thing. How do you convince your administration about integrating math study skills and doing that kind of thing? It's money. I mean, pure money, this last one. But we're finding out they pass math, they stay in college, they take more classes, they get more FTEs, and they graduate. You know, I've done the touchy feeling thing with the administrators, and I'm going, yeah, well, we can lose. And I've had them say this, presidents, oh, we can afford to lose 500 math students. I go, oh, really? Well, yeah, we calculated out. Did you calculate the other courses? And they go, what do you mean? Well, look, they take the course twice and fail, they're gone. Well, what's happening is they're not going to take the English, they're not going to take the history. You just lost 5.2 million in that class, that college. You just lost $5.2 million. They go, oh my goodness, I didn't know that. Yeah, well, you put your money and you get your most help to get them to pass the courses. And that's what we want. And I'm sorry, I ran over and didn't get to this one, but you can see it here. And that's the administrative area, you know. And once I talked to administrators about this, they're going, and this guy actually did say to the math chair, how much money you need? He said, I need 50,000. And the president said, come by tomorrow, my secretary transfer it to your budget. So this does work. So anyway, what too much in some things and probably enough on others. We can do that. I can send you some of the research articles if you want. Julie Phelps and some of the people have written these, the self-efficacy. And if you go into the AMATIC area, and most of your minimums are AMATIC, they have a lot of things in there. I've actually written articles for them. It does work. You just got to, you know, get in there and help and be successful. And we want to do that. And this other thing, let me just teach you one more last thing. And I always say this is it. First year experience classes, they're becoming more and more popular because of the COVID issues. But first year experience and study skills classes, like I said before, I've done research on that. College has done research on that. Guess what? Doesn't help math. It doesn't. How much study skills and math do they do? So what I've been doing for the last couple of years, as I've been retired, I teach actually a first year experience course with the book that the college wants, and I use my internet math text. I merge them together like that. I teach them how to take a math test, multiple choice test, note taken for math, Cornell system for everybody else. And guess what? Their grades went up in math and other courses. Okay, I'm out of time. But that's this. We have hope. We have hope. And at the NOS conference, I was there a couple of weeks ago. I'm getting that question all the time. We got a first year experience. I go, do you ever deal with math? Oh, no. Well, what's the number one course students fail? Math. Oh, so number one course is math, but you don't want to talk about study skills. And they drop out because of math. And that the research is clear. I'm seeing that research too. Basically, you drop out. Number one, mathematics. Number two, lack of learning skills. Number three, I don't have the money. That's it. So now I really ran over. So I'll hang on and get a few more questions. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Paul and Nolting,
Mhm.
for all the valuable information you shared today.
Mhm.
IES 2023 continues tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard with a virtual tour of the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Dublin. More details in the full
Oh,
Friday
wow.
schedule can be found on our conference website. Yeah, I'm super excited about that.
Mm.
While accessing the conference website, don't forget to swing by the virtual exhibit hall to say hi to our Hawks team. While there, you can view a quick 5-minute demonstration, request your t-shirt, and be entered to win a $50 hourly giveaway. Also, in the spirit of St. Patrick's Day, you'll find a few golden coins throughout the conference website. Click on the coins to be entered for a chance to win an additional raffle. Thanks again for joining us on day 1 of IES 2023, and we can't wait to see everyone tomorrow. So thank you.
Thank you too for inviting me, and be positive with skills. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Have a great one.
Bye-bye.